That
Did you
hit.
know cocaine in Coca-Cola was like meant as the child's alternative to the already popular cocaine in wine that people were drinking? That's true.
God
It's funny
damn,
you
we
say
can't
that
give
'cause
these kids wine.
that'd be crazy. But they need their cocaine. Here we are, Airheads. It's time once again. First time in like 2 weeks that the two of us have actually both been here. It's probably not been hitting for people, I imagine. But what are you going to do? Life happens. Choke
I
couldn't
think
talk last
people,
week.
yeah, they understand. I think, I peruse the comments every now and then, and people, they're like, this doesn't hit for me as hard, but still hits more than nothing,
Yeah. Yeah. Also, I got a bunch of shit in my head, so sorry about that.
You look both like, I don't know, sort of like a corporal, but also like a redneck. I'm going to deem you Baron Rogers.
Baron Rogers. I'll take that. Yeah. Would like to get naked in the desert, see a bunch of Indian spirits.
Yeah.
Wouldn't not hit for me. I know you got a bunch of stuff you want to talk about, but
Yeah, go ahead.
Halloween was yesterday. I had a thing I want to talk to you about that's kind of Halloween related. Just your favorite part of Halloween. It's Halloween candy related.
Yes.
And I feel like it's also related to this show because, well, I don't know. You are a free spirit. You're an artistic feller. You've never worked any kind of like office job, right? Like,
do you really think of me as an
office.
artistic free spirit feller? Because that really hits for me.
I was trying to not say you're like
A lazy piece of shit that's never done anything. Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
You were nailing it.
Yeah, right. So anyway, but you've only worked like blue collar jobs and done stand up comedy. That's all you've ever done, right?
That's it.
And
yeah,
like
I've worked
sales, and you've done sales.
I've done construction. I've painted commercial painting and residential painting. I sold motorcycles, but just for one weekend, and it was so I could get drunk in Unadilla, Georgia. I knew nothing about them. I was just a really good liar. But yeah, no, everything I've done has been like just something an old boy could do. Like a random dude would hire me to do a thing.
So you don't know nothing about that office space life or nothing, and
no,
or
just from movies.
So that's why I want to ask you this question because it involves that and Halloween candy. I saw this post on Reddit. I would pull it up and show it to you, but I guess maybe it caused some drama in the workplace or something because the person has since deleted the post, which sucks. But I can describe it very adequately.
Hey, before you get there, I need to ask you a Reddit question because I don't know when this will ever come up. Do you ever see speaking of drama on Reddit, you ever see when someone's like, they'll post a thing and they're talking about their husband or their husband's family and they're like, this is a throwaway account because my husband knows my real account. And then they go on to tell this insanely detailed story that I'm like, he's going to know this is you. You ever see that? Like, is that bullshit?
What do you mean by bullshit?
Well, like, do they really think surely that
up?
Yeah, surely that, like, do they really not believe in their head that you give all these personal details, but you just don't say the name and their husband's going to scroll past it and go, can't be her because her name is Umbrella 6940. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, that could be an indicator that it's just like fan fiction made up bullshit or whatever, because apparently a lot of that goes on there.
Yeah.
And it
anyways,
might just be like, up the intrigue by starting out with like, I'm using a throwaway because I can't have my husband read this. And because you're right. I mean, it doesn't make any sense.
I'm like, if you're that worried about it, don't say anything.
And then sometimes they'll have follow-ups where like they did get caught because it was very obvious.
Because it blew up.
And those are always funny.
Yeah.
Well, that is another thing too. I mean, it is still stupid of them, but like me and you are only ever seeing the ones that blow up and get at or near the front page. And there's millions of other Reddit posts that get like 25 comments or something.
Sure, but I'm like, why would you ever post anything? Why would you ever? And I'm coming at it from a comedian's point of view, but like, dude, my thing is, unless I think the rule everybody should follow is if you don't want everyone to see it, do not post it on the internet. Right. You know what I mean? Anyways, go ahead. I'm sorry.
So in the spirit of Halloween, this person brought to the office, they set out a bowl on the corner of their desk or cubicle or whatever of almond joy, little fun size almond joys. Right.
Love them.
And so I love them too. I'm a big fan.
Mounds also hit.
And it said, because sometimes you feel like a nut and sometimes you don't. So
sometimes you don't.
They got you covered. And they put out a little sign that said, take one, happy Halloween or whatever. So they come back the next day. Somebody who works there has dumped the entire bowl of Almond Joys in the trash and written on the back of their note, Almond Joys suck. Nobody likes these.
I thought it was about to be a nut allergy thing, so I'm pleasantly surprised, actually.
So I'm just wondering, having never been in an office and loving candy and all this stuff, I'm just wondering, like, what you would do in this scenario. Or
I'd get every single one of them out to trash. I'll tell you that much right now, and take them home. Who am I in this?
Take them home instead of not. You wouldn't put them back out.
Well, okay. So in this scenario, who am I? Am I the person who initially put them out?
Candy. Yeah.
Oh, I'm going to be hurt. I'm going to call. I'm going to send out a memo. I'm sending out a memo, and it will probably start out with, first of all, you.
Yeah.
That would, or whatever professional way to whom this may concern, and I would be like, listen, it's fine that you don't like Almond Joys, but you could have just left them sitting on my desk. I was trying to do a nice thing, but you know what? Next year, I ain't bringing y'all shit. You know what I mean? Now, granted, I would never not bring a variety, but I think because I learned that in school. It's like, you don't bring enough unless you got enough to share. And I know that everybody, like, Almond Joy is, let's get something straight. And I'm aware of this. And I love Almond Joys, but I will acknowledge that they are not what's the term?
Divisive?
Not divisive. Yeah, they're divisive. Yeah. They're a bit divisive. Mounds probably more so than Almond Joy.
I think so.
I would say Mounds are definitely more divisive, but Almond Joy is not, like, I think almost everyone likes Snickers. I don't think almost everyone likes Almond Joy. Right. Therefore, I would never only have Almond Joy. I wouldn't do that. Right. But I would be a little mad, and frankly, I would take it personal, especially if they knew that it was me that put them up there. I would, in the memo, I would say, if this wasn't you and you want some Almond Joy, let me know before the end of the day. Otherwise, I'm taking all these home and I'm crumbling up an ice cream and I'm going to cry on the couch because clearly I'm not appreciated. I know I ain't appreciated by the boss. He's done let me know that for years, right? I've not moved up once, have zero upward mobility in this company. And here I am, just trying to get everybody on my team, trying to get everybody to like me, trying to get some, some camaraderie at the office, and this is what you do. And frankly, in this goddamn economy, when who knows how much I've seen people posting about how expensive the candy was this year, and they're like, hey, porch light's off, baby. Know what I'm saying? In Biden's economy, porch light is off. You just threw valuable resources and a lot of money in the trash, and I don't really appreciate it because nobody here is making that kind of money. That's how I'd respond.
And you just send out like a hate-fueled email.
Yeah. Yes.
Office wide and leave it at that.
Yep. And
I wouldn't try to go to HR. You wouldn't try to seek repercussions.
Oh, no. I mean, I would, but not through HR. I don't want to actually get somebody in trouble. What I would do was I would probably I would do that and then act like it was over. And then I would try to secretly find out who it was. And then I would go take an upper decker in the boss's toilet and blame it on that person and be like, hey, I saw this person come. You know what I mean? Like I would get.
That's just you just out of nowhere, apropos of nothing, just walking up to the boss and be like, "Hey, I think Dave took a shit in the top part of your toilet." I
heard him bragging about it.
And then it just feels like the boss could be like, "I don't know. I think Corey may have shit in the in the tank."
Because see, the boss knows me from my previous work as the person who brought everyone an Almond Joy. Right. Yeah. I'm the toast of the town, except for by this guy. But no, I would definitely get back at them. But it would not be through any formal chain of command thing because I don't want anybody to lose their job. I want to hurt them physically. And if I go to HR, they're not going to let me do that.
Right. What about the classic things of if you kept bringing anything from full on lunches to, let's say, something smaller, like those little smoothies from Factor, something like that you put in the break room, in the office break room, in the refrigerator, and some unknown individual just kept habitually stealing those things. How would you respond to that?
It blows my mind that happens.
Yeah, I never had. I mean, I had an office job for 6.5 years, and I never had that happen or knew of that happening. But I see it reported on the internet all the time as happening. So
yeah, no, I mean, Amber has mentioned that it happened to her at school before, in the teacher's thing, and I would understand. I always was like, wait a minute, you mean somebody brought a dozen donuts and somebody got a donut? She's like, no, I'm talking your food will be in there. This person clearly knows it ain't their food. And they just eat that food. And I'm like, first off, I'm not saying that I've never been selfish. I've been selfish.
Have you ever Well, have you ever even had a roommate besides Amber?
Yeah, when I was in New York, remember China Bob?
China Bob, yeah.
He was
But
Korean, but he was China.
right, but that was very different. You guys were like that was a purely economical situation. You guys
It
weren't
was,
friends.
but
You
I
didn't
would
know each
never
other.
touch their food.
See, what I was about to say, that's my point. You didn't know that when I used to live with like Thompson, my cousin Trae, Corey
Oh
Barlow,
yeah, no, before,
best
dude,
friends, guys I grew up with.
me and Chris lived
And like
together in
I
Bear.
have back then at the age of 21, 22, as like a college kid, hammered drunk at 2 a.m. I have eaten like Trey Burnett's leftover.
That's
Outback
so much different.
Like okay, well that's what I was gonna say.
But
I agree. It's very different. But like he still got pissed off about it.
Of course he did. And as
he's like, what the fuck, bro?
No. It's his right.
Yeah.
It's his right to get pissed off. I understand that. But hammered drunk at 2 o'clock in the morning, mistakes are made. Your inhibitions are lowered. Who is that selfish of a prick completely sober at 3 p.m. in an office? That's lunch, the point here. Right. It's like, yes, that stuff happens. And it's always like, hey, man, I'm sorry, dick move, but I was drunk. And usually the person is like, yeah, it still sucks. But like, I get it. Maybe I'd do it too. But like, that's what I don't understand is like, also ostensibly at these offices, like you're on some type of break. If you forgot your lunch, just go get something. Go get something different. Yeah. You know what I mean? Like to me, I'm so scared. Like, as much of a selfish bag of ass as I've been in the past, I'm also constantly worried that people don't like me, and I'm a very people-pleasy type of person. Yeah. Like, I could not stomach the thought of someone catching me do that. Right. But here's what I would do, and I learned this from a television program. It was do you remember that UFC show where all the dudes were vying for like a spot in the UFC and they lived in a house?
Ultimate Fighter is what it was called. Yeah.
Well, a dude I went to high school with was on that show.
Really?
Like we played football together.
Did he do well?
Yeah, he did all right. I mean, pretty good. He ended up having a fight. Like he has like he is still a professional fighter, but like not hugely. But he did make a splash. But I mean, dude, here's the thing. Like he would still beat to death any human being that you've ever known or will ever know.
I had a buddy that went into MMA for a little while too from Salina, and he had been in the Army initially and was like legit, and he won a few matches at whatever lower level. And then, I mean, I think he's been out of it for years now, but it's like you said, like he didn't make it very far at all, but like he would whip most people's ass, you know?
Yeah. It's like, what's his face? Scarabini from the Celtics or,
the White Mamba.
Yeah.
Brian Scalabrine.
Brian Scalabrine, where like all these dudes talk trash and he goes and beats. He's like, listen, I'm closer to LeBron
than you are to me.
Than you are to me. And that's the case. I'm not going to say his name because I don't know if he would want to be mentioned on the show, but like, that's the case with him too. Like he sniffed that world, and you don't sniff that world unless you can throw down. Well, anyways, I started watching that show because of him, and that was happening in the UFC, the house. People were eating food and stuff.
Well, now that I totally buy. Like that's you know what I mean? Like I could definitely see those dudes.
But here's how
power move or whatever the hell, you know, but
well, here's how they got back at the people. They were like, every time I put food in here, they're eating it. So these UFC guys, they went and got like a big tray of sushi, and you remember that game where last one to on a biscuit has to eat it?
So okay, like
they jacked it on the sushi and put it in the fridge and watched the dudes ate it and then told them. And then we're like, by the way, you know what you just did?
They really did that?
They did that. Yeah. They jerked off on the sushi and then the dudes went in there and stole it. And they were like, hey, by the way. And then of course they all puked and they were like, we'll never do that again.
Is that biscuit thing real?
I never did it, but we always talked about it. Like, oh, that's a game that they play.
Yeah. A game where you all stand with like your dicks pointed at each other.
Yeah, at each other, and there's a biscuit in the middle
of a circle of you.
Yeah.
So you're all standing there with your dicks out, jerking it.
Yeah.
Right.
Which, as we said, not gay.
Very straight alpha males. Right. Yeah, I know. Of course. But it's just.
It's a biscuit, not a scone.
Yeah. Right. But it's just one of those things. It's like feels like a product of Urban Dictionary, but it's like. But it's also.
I bet you would have frat it when it happened at least once. I was about
to bring up fraternities. That's another thing. It's like I swear on my life, this is true. The fraternity I was in Cookeville, Tennessee, which was pretty half-assed compared to these big like Ivy League fraternities.
Surely not.
Obviously. A lot of like country boys and shit, their dads are like county commissioners or whatever. They don't own big corporations. But like there was literally, I mean, none of that. Like no paddles, no weirdly sexual hazing or like none of that shit. And I remember when I was in a fraternity, Rolling Stone put this big ass expose out, like while we were still in school, about a fraternity at Princeton, I think, or Dartmouth, some Ivy League school, and it absolutely blew my mind because it was kind of like how before I got around and talked to other people from other parts of the South, I used to be like, dude, the South, it's nowhere near as racist as people think it is. It's not that bad, whatever. Because it's like, because Salina,
had a big black community and
what weirdly wasn't that bad for various reasons, and I didn't have a frame of. I didn't realize how bad it was in other places, so I was very ignorant and naive. It was the same thing with fraternities, where it's like I was like, dude, all that shit that people say about fraternities, it ain't even true. It don't even happen.
Right.
And then they put out that big expose about like they were forcing pledges to eat like vomlets, which was where they made omelets with puke in them. Like they just made an omelet, but also puked into it, and then made pledges eat it. And we're paddling them, doing all this insane shit. And I was just like, I mean, it literally blew my mind because I couldn't believe there's no way I just can't believe that people actually put up with that and stay in and still do the thing. But ever since I read that and heard about that, like, I buy that people might jack off on a biscuit and eat it or whatever.
But like, I'm with you in the fact that like it's possible, like I don't know the chicken or the egg here. Like it's possible that it was made up, like someone was just making a thing up and then someone tried it, or if it was actually someone did it and that's how the story got started. Because like it does sound like something that me and Robbie would just make up to make fun of fraternity dudes.
Well, it's like, do you remember? There was a point in time where I brought up Urban Dictionary earlier where it was like it was a trendy thing. It was like a meme almost, but a meme in real life to like make up these like sex moves.
Yeah, I had a couple entries on Urban Dictionary that
were not. They were just made up to be funny, just to hit or whatever. None of them
donkey punching.
Real. That's the first one I thought of too. But donkey. But isn't there something about a dragon where it's like somehow like cum ends up coming out her nose or something?
Probably.
Yeah. You do I feel like her like shoot out her nose, and it's like
that could happen during a donkey punch. I think.
Right. Yeah. But anyway, stuff like that. I always just figured that biscuit thing, that dick biscuit thing, was just one of those deals. But here's another thing I've heard people do about the lunch thieves in offices in real life, not in like a UFC office, which is pretty different. I don't think you should be jacking off on the food if you work at, Wells Fargo or whatever. But what people do instead is they'll booby trap their own lunch knowing they're not going to eat it. They'll have something separate that they're going to eat. They'll bring a fake lunch that they put a shitload of like just pure capsaicin or like the bomb hot sauce or some kind of something like that in it.
So they start hearing somebody choke and they're like,
choking, freaking out, they're crying, snotting everywhere, whatever, because it's too hot to handle. And it's like, A, they out themselves, and B, they learn their lesson ideally and won't do it again.
Of course. So it really does just blow my mind though. Like I don't know, man.
People are animals, bro.
I know. Like I'm sitting here thinking, like, weird. We've talked about me as a youth and how I could be a little Cartman-y. But like, again, I was a child. I eventually grew up. But even in my wildest dreams, I would maybe it's because I'm so fat and therefore I respect other people being fat. I can't dream of taking someone's lunch. Now, again, it's one thing if like, you're at someone's house hanging out and they've got a bunch of deli meat and you go make yourself a sandwich out of an allotment of deli meat. But if it was their last deli meat, I wouldn't take it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like that thought process, like who ain't bringing their lunch? Do you know, as soon as I wake up, I start planning lunch. As soon as I wake up, I'm like, what am I gonna have for lunch? There's no way I would ever go to the office and be like, oh my God, I forgot. That's all I'd be thinking about. I'd clock in at 9 and I'd go 3 more hours, baby. Here we go.
You actually do that? That's like the first thing you think of in the morning is what you're going to eat that day?
And then as soon as I'm done with lunch, I start thinking about dinner.
I know. That's
it. That's all there is anymore, dude. That's all there is. I don't do cocaine.
Like, I was about to say, that's how you know that it's like fatting is like in so many ways equivalent to being addicted to drugs or whatever, because it's like that when you be doing drugs and shit when you're young, it's like that. Where
you plan your whole day around it.
Even if you're like in a place where it's like, okay, I can't do this every day, obviously, or whatever. But if it's like, even then, if you're like, okay, but Friday, though, Friday is when I'm going to let myself do this.
Yeah.
Then Monday through Thursday or whatever, it's like you're just thinking about Friday, and then all day Friday. If it's Friday night when you're going to do it, you're just thinking about what you're going to do, how hard it's going to hit, and then it's like,
and
it's funny to do that with like pulled pork sliders whatever too, but it be that way.
Well, I hear people all the time. I was actually wanting to talk to you about this because I hear people all the time, and like I was on a group call the other day talking about our book. Actually, I got invited to a book club, and I was talking to these people
for our book. Bro, that would not hit for me.
I know that's why I didn't tell you. Yeah, yeah.
Oh
I saved
my God.
You. Yeah.
No, I can't even imagine. You were present in a book club meeting for the book that we wrote.
Yeah.
Absolute nightmare. Never.
Yeah, I enjoyed it, but I knew it. But I knew it wouldn't hit for you. So
years would I do that, dude? That is.
I lied and told him you were busy because I knew that you. Yeah, I lied and told him you were busy because that's how good of friends that we are. Like I knew you wouldn't even be mad from. Like I was just like. I was like, I know Trae's not going to do it, but I didn't want to tell them. I was just like, man, this is the only night I can do it. Trae's unfortunately got it. Yeah, but I did it. Anyways, I was talking to these dudes. I won't say who they might not want me to mention it. I was talking to these dudes, and we were talking about like favorite cities or whatever, and I started talking about like being on vacation and stuff, about how like everything I kept mentioning was just about food. Like this city has this, and this city has. They were like, so you base like how good a time you have somewhere based on food, and I was like,
absolutely.
I was like, what else is there?
Is the thing.
Because like the alcohol there is the same as the alcohol everywhere else.
Now that with any kind of trip, yes, it's like the number one thing by a mile.
What else is there?
What the food is going to be and where and when, and it's all I think about. It's all I mean, there's other. Museums hit. You know what I mean?
But
things like that.
Okay, but there's cities that have museums that also have hidden food. So go to that one.
And you
is what
eat.
I'm saying.
Yeah, right. Of course.
Okay, but that's the thing is like most cities that have hidden museums are going to have hidden food too. You know what I mean? Like culture. You know what I'm saying?
I don't really understand what you're saying. What was the issue that people were bringing up?
Well, I just kept bringing up food every time they'd mention a city. I just kept bringing up what restaurants hit and what food I like, and I was like, I don't understand the difference. This is how I tell the difference between places is that they got this, they have this.
Me too.
If I don't know, like to me, when you travel, like if you just travel to get drunk every day, I mean, that's great, but I can do that anywhere, but I can't have primo etouffee anywhere except New Orleans. Right. You know what I mean? Like I do know what you mean. I feel the same way. There's always been a disconnect between me and Katie because she couldn't give a f less. She'd be happy to go anywhere and like do the things there, go on tours or shore excursions or any of those types of things. She'd be happy to do that and eat just McDonald's or sandwiches or whatever the whole time, and it wouldn't bother her at all. And I'm like, are you out of your mind? Like, Amber, there's no way we can do both, but there ain't no way I'm going to McDonald's
anywhere, San Francisco or wherever we're at, and eating at fucking McDonald's. Are you shitting me?
Amber likes food. Amber likes good food. Don't get me wrong, but like, when we went to Chicago, she was like, "We have to see the Bean," and I was like, first off, what's the Bean? And she was like,
"I know what the Bean is, but I'm with you on like, what is the big deal?"
But the Bean's new, right?
Picture of it. I don't know how. I mean, it's definitely been there for a while because I'm pretty sure when
it's not a historic Chicago thing.
No. But when me and Katie went to Chicago like 7 or 8 years ago, we went to the Bean.
When I say new, I mean within the past 20 years.
20 years, yeah, something like that.
I don't ever want it when I travel to a city. I don't ever want to see nothing that's only 20 years old. Like, I want to see the historic stuff. But also, she was like, we had to go see this goddamn bean, and it was so far off in the different direction. Then we get there, and it's like, sure is a metal bean. And I'm like, do you realize how many hot beef sandwiches we could have eaten in the time it took us to get here? Like, go to Chicago, you're there for the hot beef sandwiches and the pizza. Like, the bean, what are you talking about?
Yeah, it was built between 2004 and 2006, so it's like 20 years old. I tell you what, they got these, that river from the Great Lake, where the river dumps off in the Great Lake. It's like the Chicago sits on the mouth of that. They got all these boat tours that go through and around Chicago, and it's like me and Katie took an architectural boat tour.
That's great. I like that.
And that was awesome.
You got to eat before, though.
Yeah. I mean, again, we also ate stuff that hits while we were there, but me, Kay, and the boys are going to Chicago at Christmas time this year, and I'm pretty pumped about it.
You've done the tour of like where the Great Fire happened and like the rebuild and stuff like that.
On a boat.
Yeah, it's fantastic. No,
it was an architectural tour, so they talked about all that. They talked about how they jacked the whole city up once because they had to redo amazing. The sewers, which is insane that did that like 100 years ago. But
they're such a great, resilient town. By the way, please don't let it come off as I don't like stuff like that. I do. The bean ain't that. That stuff hits. The bean.
Yeah, it's just there.
The bean is exactly what we talk about on this show when it comes to art being a fraud. It's a bean.
Yeah.
It's chrome. I mean, chrome hits. I like chrome. Chrome hits.
Hit. Mm-hmm.
Anyways, whatever.
Yeah.
Do you want to take a break and then we'll get into This Week in Fancy?
I do. That's exactly what I was
we will be right back right after this.
Tell you what, as a kid, I was a big old fat tub of lard. Still am, but I used to be too.
What's changed?
Yeah, right. Used to be an even fatter, tubbier, lardier fat tub of lard. But as a fat dork, I really loved sugary cereal. One of my favorites. Where else can you eat a bowl of cookies for breakfast rather than right here in the great U.S. of A. because of all them sugary cereals? But, as an adult, you realize you can't be doing that. That's insane. It's absurd. You can't have all that sugar. You need protein. As a grown man, you can't get protein from cereal. Or can you, right? Because then I found Magic Spoon, which is a nostalgically delicious cereal that tastes just like my childhood favorites. But it ain't got all the sugar, and it does have a ton of protein. If you already are into the Magic Spoon thing, I got big news for you. They have turned their super popular cereal into high-protein treats that are light, crispy, and taste just like those classic crunchy cereal bars. Magic Spoon's brand new treats are so delicious and have already become a pre-workout favorite for me. You can't have something too big before you work out, but you need something to give you some extra oomph. You need that oomph. Got to get a little extra protein. So my go-to has become these light and airy yet high protein treats from Magic Spoon. With every serving of Magic Spoon cereal has 13 grams of protein, 0 grams of sugar, and 4 grams of net carbs, so you can feel good about what you're eating. The most popular flavors are fruity and cocoa, and there are so many more on top of that. Also, Magic Spoon's brand new treats are crispy, crunchy, airy, and an easy way to get 12 grams of protein on the go. And for the first time ever, Magic Spoon treats are available in grocery stores with delicious flavors like marshmallow and chocolatey peanut butter. Always a hit. Joe, tell them more.
Well, Trae, you know that I've been on Magic Spoon since before they came a hollering. As someone who also was and currently still am a, fat, worthless tub of goo, me and you've talked about it a bunch. Because, though, of people like Magic Spoon, I'm not as big of a tub of goo as I could be. I actually should be way bigger, right? But Magic Spoon, I was able to take something bad for me and make it something good for me. And the fruity cereal is my favorite. I don't know if they want me to tell, like, if there's a ranking. They're all good. The fruity one's absolutely my favorite because fruity cereal was my jam when I was a kid. And now that they've got the treats, I mean, there's no excuse for me. They're fantastic. I can eat them on the go. And every night, like, I can have cereal for dinner and I don't have to feel bad about it because, again, not only is there 0 grams of sugar, like, I'm actually getting protein. It's not just empty calories like normal cereal is. I love Magic Spoon. They have saved me in so many situations. And you can get $5 off your next order at magicspoon.com/POA or look for Magic Spoon on Amazon or in your nearest grocery store. That's magicspoon.com/POA for $5 off. Magic Spoon. Hold on to the dream. Lumen is the world's first, actually, not just the first one in the whole world, handheld metabolic coach. It's a device that measures your metabolism right here. I got it right here through your breath. And on the app, it lets you know if you're burning fat or carbs because it turns out, depending on the time of day, your body might need certain things because it's going to give you the tailored guidance to improve your nutrition, your workouts, your sleep, and even your stress management. So all you got to do is take this thing right here, pop that off, breathe into it, then you pull your app up, do it first thing in the morning, and you're going to know what's going on in your metabolism, whether you're burning mostly fats or carbs. Then Lumen's going to give you a personalized nutrition plan for that day based on your measurements. Also, I've been doing this. Breathe into it before and after workouts because you will be shocked at the differences. And the great thing about this is it's told me something I kind of already I already knew a little bit, but it's really, hammered it into me that like carbs are not your enemy when you're trying to look great. Sometimes, yeah, you shouldn't because your body's not burning them as well. But like after a workout and stuff, like you need them. And if you have your lumen, you can check out when it is that you can and ought not be eating bread. And bread hits really hard. Your metabolism is your body's engine. It's how your body turns the food you eat into fuel that keeps you going. And because your metabolism is at the center of everything your body does, optimal metabolic health translates to a bunch of benefits, including, like I said, easier weight management, improved energy levels, better fitness results, and better sleep. Trae, tell them more about our friends at Lumen.
Yeah, it's an important thing because, it's like you don't even know what metabolism is when you're a kid. Then you find out what it is, and you're like, man, that sounds super important. I never even knew it existed. Also, I have no idea how to track that. I ain't got, I don't have like internal hip meters is what my body's doing. That's the thing. Our bodies are so miraculous, but so mysterious at the same time.
Right.
Well, Lumen unwraps a little bit of that mystery for you because Lumen can give you recommendations to improve your metabolic health with each breath. No more guesswork. You don't have to wonder if you're doing right anymore. Now you can know for sure. Lumen's recommendations are designed to improve your pre and post workout fueling for better performance and recovery so you can power through even the toughest workouts and add on muscle mass like we all want to have. So if you want to take the next step in improving your health, go to lumen.me/POA to get 15% off your Lumen. That is LUMEN.me/POA for 15% off your purchase. Thank you, Lumen, for sponsoring the show. All right, and we're back. Listen, before you get into This Week in Fancy, I also meant to tell you that the week that I missed when the incomparable Gareth Reynolds sat in for me, that episode, because of the technical difficulties you were having or whatever, I want you to know you sounded so comically absurd and stupid the whole time. Because I don't know how your microphone problems exactly made it just sound like you, but with a pronounced lisp.
Yeah.
But that is somehow exactly what happened. And it was so goddamn funny. You're right. So these robbers that came through the back door, like you were like sounding like Sylvester the cat or something the whole time. It was killing me.
We had an email this week that I'll go ahead and spill now because it relates to this, where someone was like, dog, they're like, at first I was like upset because I realized the audio quality wasn't going to be good. And they were like, but then I heard it and I was like, and they were like, it made the episode hit hard for me. And they go, and then unknowingly, because they knew I didn't know how would I know? You know what I mean? And I just kept repeating the phrase, sweaty, sexy boys from Boston.
Boston, yes, right. yes, you did.
But some people, what's hilarious is that some people, like, if it walks like a duck, talks like a duck, they think oxen. Or like if they see hoof prints, they think zebra. Some people were like, hey, did you have a dip in that whole time? And I was like, really? It didn't occur to you that it might be audio trouble, but I was dipping the whole time. Some people thought that I have always had a lisp, and somehow they've never noticed it.
Yeah. You can gaslight yourself in that way. But I thought
I started to get freaked out.
I was like, did he have some kind of dental work done or something? Has he got his mouth stuffed with cotton or something like that?
Another great comment.
I knew you were having audio, but again, I just did not realize that technical audio problems could have that specific effect on a person, a person's voice. And so I was like, what the f is going on? But anyway, it's objectively the most hilarious of technical difficulties that exist now that I know that it's a thing.
Speaking of the most hilarious, I wish I'd remembered this person's name, but I saw it in a comment. They are our most hilarious fan because someone said exactly what you just said. They commented on YouTube and they said, did Corey have some dental work that we don't know about? And someone commented, doubt it, because if he did, he would have talked about it for 20 minutes up top. And I was like, that's true. I would have. Anyways, Trae, This Week in Fancy. I mean, what a week it has been. This is a headline that really grabbed me. Oh my God, did I just delete everything? No, okay. Diddy was desperate to meet Queen Elizabeth after inviting Prince William and Harry to depraved freak-offs. Quote, she's never invited me to Buckingham Palace. And I love the implication. I know that was just how the writer decided to write that lead, but I love the implication that Diddy went, I invite them to the freak-offs all the time. Why ain't this bitch letting me come to Buckingham Palace?
Yeah, that's definitely what he's thinking. I mean, to be fair to him on that, I have to assume that he be knowing Prince Andrew and his proclivities to Epstein and all that. So, he's probably like, they be freaking off all the time. They love the Queen probably loved to come to my butt party,
Yeah,
like
but he's black.
I know that is the part that he should have realized, makes him. I think a lot of black people that get rich, like,
they assume they'll hit for the Queen. No,
think that they ain't black no more or whatever. But obviously, OJ, famous. The most famous thing about OJ Simpson was when he said, "I'm not black, I'm OJ."
Yeah, right?
Yeah, you can kind of do it, but not to like the
not
Queen
to the Queen.
Right,
yeah.
Royalty,
by the way, for the record, I should say we don't think the Queen is right for this.
No,
it's just that that aristocracy and stuff. It's not just the money. Like, you've got to have titles and stuff.
Right.
But it's just funny to me to think that in his brain, Harry and William were going to be like, Grandmummy, we went to these wonderful freak-offs. Yes. You've got to have this.
There's a lovely young chap named Puff Daddy. Have you heard of him? We'd like to invite him and his entire bad boy family to the how bad are these boys,
Not that bad. I don't like that. Okay. Also, I saw it, speaking of P. Diddy, I saw a thing the other day that he changed his name. I can't remember who this rapper was that was talking about it, but he was like, him and Biggie were like really good friends, but this dude did not like Puff Daddy. Like, it's a hot take now. This guy's coming out like, by the way, he never hit for me, and he's like, by the way, he's like, y'all know why his name is Diddy? And they were like, no. He goes, because that's what we used to call him behind his back, because we were talking about Diddy Kong, because he's just a junior. He's just a little bitch like Diddy Kong. And so we just kept calling him Diddy. And he was like, yeah, that's his. I'm Diddy. And then he changed his name to Diddy. But apparently it was started as like an insult. Well, speaking of people, him never hitting for people, my dad, the first two CDs I bought with my own money. On his deathbed. Puff Daddy don't hit. Pretty much. But the first two CDs I bought with my own money were Will Smith, Big Willie Style. Right? What's up? Yeah, and also Puff Daddy and the Bad Boy Family, No Way Out, right? And loved them both. This is my dad's introduction to any of that shit. And he always had a major beef with Puff Daddy because Puff Daddy, sampled. Your dad was a Tupac guy. No, my dad never it drove him crazy. It drove him crazy that they sampled Sting? All of that. Like, you remember that huge song he had from the Godzilla soundtrack, Come With Me, or whatever it was called? Yeah. That was just a Led Zeppelin song that he took the lyrics out of and rapped. That's what he used. Like, he didn't you send me clips sometimes of Instagram accounts where they show how rap producers take samples and turn it into something completely different. Yeah, but he wouldn't. It was the whole thing. That takes artistry and a shitload of talent. And it's cool. And it's very cool. But Puff Daddy never did that. He just took songs and just put rap on them. Like, he just, from my dad's perspective, stole. I loved him back then, but I'm saying that never hit my dad. He didn't pay anybody was the thing, right? No, yeah, my dad. And I don't even know how you got away with that. My dad just never respected any of that. He thought that was bullshit. That he just basically, from his perspective, he was stealing other people's movies. Songs, other people's songs. Would your dad have felt different if he knew that he was paying him? Not back then, no. Right, because your dad's such a rock and roll purist that, you got to create every. And by the way, I respect that. You got to create every aspect of this. Because, dude, when 50 Cent rapped "Stroke" or did "Magic Stick" over Billy Squier "Stroke Me," oh yeah, fire. Well, so Billy Squier is like a hip hop icon. Yes, because I did know that. Yeah, we talked about this on the Well Read podcast a while ago. That's why I brought it up. But yeah, that kind of blew my mind because I didn't know that because of these all these bass lines and stuff that he came up with that have been sampled a million times over. But I saw somebody say that Billy Squier has contributed more to the landscape of hip hop than anybody except for 4 other dudes or something like that. But it was who do you think the most famous person he said it in front of is? Said what? What he said it? You know what I'm saying? Billy Squier? Yeah. Well, you're a hip hop. Funniest thing about Billy Squier is that he ruined his career by just dancing around gaily in a music video that he made. That's funny because back then everyone was doing that. Was gay, I know. Dude, it was they weren't gay. I know that. David Bowie never didn't dance gay in a video. I know. You're right. It is weird, but it's I guess he maybe got a pass, Stevie, or I guess Billy Squier's thing was different.
maybe.
Well, because Bowie came out the gate being
his demo was different.
Yeah.
And then, so when he went all feminine, they were like,
well, that's the thing. You can't go feminine. You got to come out the gate being androgynous. Like Mick Jagger and David Bowie, I've seen even their old stuff. When they first came out, you were just like, I could see them having a vagina. You know what I mean? Like, I don't,
anyway,
they're their
own
thing.
I wanted to say about my dad, his name was Puff Daddy, then he changed it to P. Diddy. And when he did that, my dad started calling him Dip Shitty. He always called him Dip Shitty. So anyway, just want to say, my dad, P. Diddy never hit for my dad, and he has since been vindicated from beyond the grave.
God only takes the people that don't deserve to go. It's not even going to
be fun to, it's like, reaching the point of like not even really being fun to like joke about anymore with Diddy. Like,
no, it's not. With this new news that came out this week, honestly, it's pretty. I mean, like, don't get me wrong. It was
drugging and raping children. Like small
it was
children.
Never.
It's like monster stuff.
It was never good.
No,
but I don't care who you are. Like when it gets into children, it's worse.
Yeah, right. Yeah. Exactly. Yes.
I mean, it's like I don't know, dude. It's rough. Like the whole thing, like. Diddy himself is like a comical character and like always has been. And I can sort of find the humor in the ravenry and the just how on and like when you go back and now look at old interviews of him, it's like, man, he was just saying it and we were just, whatever. But it's like the thing is though, what's crazy to me is like,
dude, but speaking of that, I feel like every other week a new clip from an R. Kelly concert emerges.
Yeah. Have you got your vaccines?
He was like, are you 18? Do you have your shots?
Yeah.
Do you want to come to America with Robert?
But that's actually the most responsible. He's at least asking if they're 18.
Yeah, but it's just so funny. He's like just singing about human trafficking and shit. Was doing this in the open for so long. And
like literally writing musicals about human trafficking.
Yeah, right.
But the thing with P. Diddy is like, this is what's been kind of bothering me is that like people are ignoring the stuff that's truly bad and now just going anything he's ever done is bad because like they're acting like a bunch of celebrities getting naked and each other is wrong. And it's like, that's not the wrong part. Like that's, what do you like, do you understand what I'm saying? They're like, yeah, see him and they're all gay. And it's like, gay? What do you mean gay? Gay's not that.
Well, it's like if when
they
you
were
told
just
me,
all gay, this would not be a crime.
Well, it's like when you told me on a previous episode that at those parties he was putting some kind of something in the punch or something like that.
Yeah.
Some kind of that was supposed to make people hornier or whatever.
Yeah.
And my initial response to that was like, look, if you're like another famous person who's volunteering to come to a sex party, like a freak off, a celebrity orgy, like
that's what you get. I mean, you should assume that there's something to punch.
I don't really have a problem with them putting like horny juice in the punch or whatever in that context.
Is the underage stuff. That's right. The only thing.
Like, if there's people that have been like trafficked into that situation to serve as like toys for these famous people, that's what's
But just taking Molly and getting your dick sucked, like, who among us? You know?
Fine. Yeah,
but that's the thing, too, is people are like, oh, this Diddy stuff, like, y'all are about to find out from about everybody. And this one dude was like, oh, yeah, y'all think Diddy's bad. Well, what about Will Smith? And they're like, what about Will Smith? And they're like, I saw Will Smith and this grown man consensually butt each other. And I'm like, that is not the same thing. So, like, I get that don't hit for you, but like, that's not a crime. Diddy's not on trial for being gay. You know what I mean? It's trafficking.
Yeah.
Anyways, similar situation, but a little bit different. Prince William and Kate plot a Christmas coup on King Charles. They plot a Christmas.
This like royalist conspiracy theories?
Yeah, kind of.
Is it like the British version of Q?
No, dude. Here's all that's going down is that Charles still has cancer. He seems to be, you know what? I'm about to tell you two stories wrapped in one. How about that? So Charles still has cancer. However, this week, everybody in the family is talking about how like, oh man, he's really, he's doing really great with the cancer. He seems to be in better health. And I'm like, he must have finally got actual medicine. Because, he was starting on that Steve Jobs trip where he was just like, I'll just believe I'll take me some bamboo shoots.
Yeah, I was going to ask you that because I thought I remembered hearing that.
That's what I assumed. They were like, he looks great. He's feeling great or whatever. And I was like, okay, he finally, went and got something done. Now, they're basing this off of, they're like, you know what all he needed was? that trip to Australia, he went on these trips and it lifted his spirits, and now the cancer is doing better. And I'm like, it can't be that. It can't be that. But he was even talking about, like, he's just apparently in a way better mood, and so they think his cancer's better, because he was talking about how, like, you remember, y'all, I sent it to you and you and Travis talked about it, him getting heckled in Australia or whatever.
Yeah.
Well, they asked him about that, and, like, per him, that really hit for him. Like, he enjoyed that, because they were like, what do you mean? And he was like, well, that's freedom of speech. You know, they're allowed to do that. He's like, I like to see democracy, you know, at its fullest. And everybody's just talking about how, you know, wonderful he's feeling. However, because he does have cancer, apparently William and Kate got commissioned with, hey, how about y'all take care of Christmas this year? Just like in any other family. It's like mama and daddy normally do it, but, like, he's down in his back, and so, well, how about we have it over at y'all's place? You know what I mean?
Are any of them actually? You mean to tell me that if he didn't have cancer, the king was gonna, like, plan Christmas?
I mean, I think
they have to have a whole staff of people.
No, they have a staff, but I think they really like being the person who tells the staff what to do. You know what I mean? Like, these are a duty-bound people. Like, that is the things that they do. Like, that stuff does hit for them. Like, actually serving. What is it? Just
like, have the tree over here, and we'll have
I think they like.
Pheasants.
I do think they like having some type of charge. Like, dude, think about it, man. Like, what else are they gonna do? What else are they gonna do? Like, I mean, I know he has his charities and stuff, but, like, they don't work. Like, so but the Christmas thing, you got to understand, their Christmas is not just, like, for them. Like, it's gonna be showcased. It's gonna be a public festival where people see it. Like, that to them is all part of the job. Like, we must have this opulent thing or whatever. And so normally King Charles would be in charge of it, but they let William and Kate be in charge of it. And rumors are that Kate and William are going to attempt to bring Christmas into the new age and go with a lesser opulent type thing. They're going to like really not focus on the church part of it, because they're trying to be like, it does hit, it really hits. But I think what's happening is, like, he don't feel good, and so they're going to do it, and now everyone's like, it's a coup, you know. But they're trying to bring it into the modern era, because William, you know, by the way, in case this is your first time listening to this show, the monarchy, okay? It's stupid. It ought not be. But I think William is, you know, Charles is, not only does he have cancer, he's old anyways. He's not going to be around forever. William's already thinking about how it's going to be when he's king. And I think because of the Prince Andrew stuff that we talked about a couple weeks ago, the monarchy is on shaky ground. Like, it's on shaky ground, and they realize, like, there might not be many kings after me. I'm going to have to do certain things to curry favor with the people, and maybe one of those things is being a little less super Church of England-y on Christmas, and also being a little less opulent, because inflation is a worldwide thing, and blah, blah, blah. But of course, these papers are calling it a coup. I'm certain these are, like, pro-monarchist people. Here's a quote. You'll love this. A quote from the article. Slaughtering hundreds of birds for sport aside, the larger point is that the next generation of royals are on a mission to rebrand the royal Christmas, transforming it from a grand, dutiful, and primary religious occasion to one more aligned with the future subjects' festive experiences. So, yeah, exactly that.
Hold on. What's the birds part? Slaughtering hundreds of birds for sport aside?
In other words, they're still going to do that, I think.
That's part of their Christmas? Everybody just goes out and kills birds?
Well, you know, they're a shooting bunch.
Yeah, I know another thing me and Travis talked about was how they got these, like, rich landed gentry that own these big estates over there. They let people hunt birds on them. I mean, you have to pay to hunt birds on. So it's like going to a pay lake. Like, they keep it stocked with birds, but sometimes eagles and owls and other birds that hit will eat these not hitting birds.
Yeah.
But that don't hit for the rich people, because they need those not hitting birds to stay alive so that a human can kill them, because they get paid for that. Yeah. So what they then do is they shoot the birds that do hit, like they shoot the eagles and stuff. And they're having a real problem with this, and it's not hitting for people, because it's all about, like, these hitting birds need to die so that these not hitting birds can live long enough to be killed by a paying customer or whatever.
Yeah.
So
yeah, you'll have, that's the bird economy for you.
Yeah, that is the classic dynamic within the bird economy. You can shoot birds. Not the hitting ones. I don't think you ought to shoot eagles, whatever. The ones there's not that many of, but the equivalent, like little field chickens or whatever. Shoot them, dude. They're bred to be shot. You can shoot all them goddamn birds. I don't give a
we used to do a dove, well, they still do it, I just don't go, but we used to do a dove shoot every year at the opening of dove season, and it was a lot of fun. Like, we'd go down to my buddy's farm, and basically at the perimeter of the farm, everybody would set up hay bales, and we'd take, like, if you had a camper, you'd set it up, and we'd basically just create this little, like, village, and we'd be there for 3 days, like, just drinking the whole time, sleeping outside, wake up, shoot doves, whatever. A lot of fun. And I remember one time, goddamn, my buddy Josh, somebody goes, bird, bird, bird. And he was sitting there hammered drunk, and he was leaned over on the chair, and he was like, where? And he picked up a shotgun. They go, behind you. And this motherfucker went, pow, and shot that sumbitch behind him. Could have blown my head off.
Of course.
Could have blown my...
You're just walking behind him, dude, getting a beer from the cooler or whatever. Yeah,
but the thing is, art is getting away with it, as Andy Warhol said, and he nailed the bird. But, dude, we got peppered. It was nothing for us to just be sitting there, and all of a sudden, buckshot just drills you in the leg. You know what I mean? Because people were just hammered. Whatever. Anyways, one time, there was like a crane flying above us somehow, and my buddy William blew the crane's head off.
Right.
And his dad was like, that's not a dove. And he was like, if it flies, it dies. Goddamn, this bird falls down. Its head was off of its body. He just blew a crane's head off. It could have been an eagle. He wouldn't have known. He was just shooting at a bird in the sky. But you know what? That bird, he should have known. Anyways,
they should know.
One last thing. This is This Week in Fancy Rumors, and I'm calling it fancy because I think that Christopher Nolan is the most prestigious director that we have right now. Did you see the rumor of what his next movie was going to be?
No.
I know you haven't, because I would have had to send it to you, because that's how you get your Chris Nolan information. Everybody's been speculating what it could be, because it's like, look, he did... it's like he did Dunkirk. Then he's done Oppenheimer. He's done a lot of historical stuff. So I think people have been like speculating, is it going to be a World War II thing? Is it going to be this? Seems to be that it's going to be about helicopter cops. What do you think about
helicopter cops?
Helicopter cops.
Like, go on. I live in the land of helicopter cops.
That's all I know is helicopter cops, and
Los Angeles is lousy with helicopter cops, dude. They're always up there, helicopter copping all over the place.
I decided to not look into it because I thought it would be more fun to speculate, like, what could the Christopher Nolan take on helicopter cops? Because I trust this man. I trust this man with everything.
Yeah.
But here's the thing. Not to be like some sort of like complete Bernie leftist, because while in real life I feel a certain way, cop movies hit so hard.
Yes,
so hard.
Right.
But I don't know if I want Christopher Nolan to waste one on helicopter cops. You know what I mean? If he did like a noir.
Yeah, it sounds more like a Michael Bay movie. Like, you see that Michael Bay movie, Ambulance?
Yes, I did. It hit for me.
I thought
because I went into it knowing it was Michael Bay.
That, but for helicopter cops is what pops into my head, and it's like, that should be a Michael Bay movie, which again I would watch and probably would hit.
Gyllenhaal was great in it.
But he hits in everything. But Christopher Nolan doing it. I mean, just the other day, I don't remember why, but I was thinking, I wonder what Christopher Nolan's going to do next. I really hope it hits for me. And I was thinking, it's like, I for one hope that he goes back to wild shit.
Yes, like Memento,
Inception.
Yes.
Even I didn't really like Tenet.
Well, I was about to say
the boat out with Tenet. Like Tenet was definitely wild, but like
I was gonna say, do you think he's maybe done? He's done as wild as he can do, because I feel like Tenet was a result of he tried to one up Inception.
I think the only real problem with Tenet is that goddamn time travel just don't work. I've talked about it a million times. I've bitched about it forever.
And if he can't do it,
if even he can't make that shit hit, it just can't really hardly be done. So
okay, but don't you feel like Inception shouldn't have worked then too?
No, why you say that?
It's not okay because your main problem with time travel is like the stakes and all this stuff and like how things can just be made up or whatever. Well, like
it's
in Inception,
more that it can't possibly make any good sense. Is the thing? Like,
but I'm saying, but Inception made sense somehow.
But Inception is we all have dreams. The idea that like you can plant ideas and dreams, and also we know that dreams can be
3 levels of dreams.
Insane. Yeah, you got a subconscious, you got a whatever. I don't know.
I'm with you, but I also dig some type of time travel stuff. But I'm saying, like, I feel like your logic falls apart when you're like, no, Inception, I get it, but time travel, how could you?
I don't think that dream shit has the same inherent like narrative issues that time travel shit has, like at all. I don't think they're even close to the same thing. Is what I'm saying.
All right, I mean. You're smarter than me, so I believe you.
What about dreams like is similar to time travel in terms of a story up or like making it? Because the problem with time travel
you can just make anything up, and how do you know if we're in a dream or not in a dream? Like, you're always talking about when time travel, it's like
totems. He thought of that, and that's a cool feature. That
was a cool feature, which also makes it one of the. I don't know how you feel about this, but I was thinking about the best endings in movies ever the other day. And I think like if you I remember how I felt after because I went into Sixth Sense and I didn't know. I saw it new. I didn't know. So that always sticks out in my mind of like how I felt then can't be replicated. Like M. Night Shyamalan has tried to replicate it a bunch and it just ain't worked out. But like that moment of like, holy God, like that's such a great ending. But also I constantly think about the end of Inception of how like, it's kind of Sopranos-esque in the sense that a lot of people didn't like it, but to me, it's so open to interpretation
that I think about.
I do too. Like I think because the Sopranos ending is always the best.
Because I feel like people always miss the point with those endings. Because I feel like they always
whatever
argue.
You want.
Exactly. I feel like they always argue. There's two sides. It's like no, it was a dream. No, it wasn't a dream, and they argue with each other. It's like you're all missing the point. It's literally both. What do you think? You think it was a dream? Then it was a dream. Right. Yeah. Like, you think it wasn't a dream, then it wasn't a dream. That's what these endings mean.
Did Tony die?
Whatever you interpret it to be, that is what happens. Because there's never going to be any real answer. There's not supposed to be. It's left open-ended on purpose. And I like movies like that.
I do too. I think The Sopranos was great because it's like, do you think Tony died? Great, he did.
Then
if you think Tony got away with it, but now you can do this whole thing in your head of like, what was like, dude?
Yeah.
I know that was controversial, but like
anyway. I had that Christopher Nolan, the more mind-bendy Christopher Nolan is my preference, even though his last 3 movies, if I've got them right in order, the only one that didn't hit for me was the mind-bending one. Like Dunkirk and Oppenheimer are both just like war dramas, basically, straight up. There's nothing crazy about them, and I've loved both of those movies.
I do too, but I'll never watch Dunkirk again, probably.
I've just been thinking that I want to watch Dunkirk
Really?
again,
well, let's do it together. Yeah. Then we can do an episode on World War I.
I saw that movie in the theater, and I've only seen it that one time, but I thought it was great. But
I do. No, I did too. I did.
It does not hit. I just tried to rewatch Tenet on a plane recently.
You know, I've never seen Tenet.
I mean,
but you know why? Because you told me this.
Because you should be a completionist for somebody like Christopher
and I have
Nolan.
seen every other movie.
Have you seen Following?
That's the one.
Following.
Wait, no.
That's like a movie he made. That's like a movie he made as a film student.
I'm writing that down.
But you can find it. In fact, it's they've got it on Delta flights right now.
Does it hit?
As a matter of fact,
his student. They've got his student film on a Delta flight.
That's I'm pretty sure he filmed it as a. I mean, it's a feature length. Well, it's like 75 minutes, but it's definitely micro budget. Student film esque, but it's Christopher Nolan as. I wish he'd do. So obviously, it's pretty cool.
I wish he'd do just a straight up mob movie. I would like that from him. Like, I mean, just because I'm super into mob stuff right now, because I mentioned Amber's just now actually watching The Sopranos. I say rewatching. She's been getting through it. But then I'm also into The Penguin, and I was like, and I guess that Batman plus, whatever the. What would really hit if the MCU was like, we've done it. Let's let Nolan do Spider-Man like he did Batman. That would rule.
Yeah.
Anyways,
I'd like to see him do like some kind of sci-fi something would hit for me, like future
Star Wars. Let him do Star Wars.
Man, I'll still watch. I don't know. Star Wars is about lost me.
I know, Trae. Trae. I'm with you, Trae. I couldn't be.
Disney has buried that shit, dude.
Trae, we don't have to get into that.
Yeah,
but I couldn't be more with you. But you know who would make it hit? Christopher Nolan.
He would make it hit. Yeah.
All right. let's take a quick break and hear for some ads real quick.
Does Blue Chew work? If you're still asking that question, we want you to know that Blue Chew's happy to put their money where their mouth is, put their money where your wiener is, however you want to put it. They give you a month free. That's right. But they don't need to worry. They know you ain't going to come for their money back. You ain't going to need it back. They give it to you for free because they know it works. It's called creating demand. All right. You ain't going to believe how much it works. And that's coming straight from the horse's dick. All right. Blue Chew is an online service that delivers the same active ingredients as Viagra, Cialis, and Levitra, but at a fraction of the cost and in a chewable form. The process is simple. Sign up at bluechew.com, consult with one of their licensed medical providers, and once you're approved, you'll receive your prescription within days. Blue Chew's tablets are made in the U.S. of A., prepared and shipped directly to your door. The best part of it all is it's done on the internet. That means no more visits to the doctor's office, no more awkward wiener conversations. And we're waiting in line at the pharmacy, running into your old high school librarian, none of that. You can take them anytime, day or night. So you can plan ahead to get down, or you can be ready to get down whenever an opportunity comes up. Cho, tell them what you think.
Man, does it work? I tell you what, it makes my dick harder than trying not to scratch my neck when I'm wearing this itchy scarf. And that's straight from the horse's dick right there. You don't think you need it? Well, here's the deal. Maybe technically you don't. Okay? Like, it's not just for people who have a complete, shutdown situation down there. It's like, yeah, Barry Bonds was already one of the greatest players in baseball history, sure, but he didn't get to 70 by himself. You know what I'm saying? You can try it free for a month and see, and you're going to love it, and your partner's going to love it. Amber loves it. As soon as that white envelope comes to our house, I know it's about to go down. Everyone's excited to see the post, man. There's nothing sexier than confidence, and Blue Chew can help give you the confidence where it counts. Blue Chew wants you to have that confidence to perform at your best, so discover your options at BlueChew.com. And we've got a special deal. See, I had to take a breath because all the blood has rushed to my dick, Trae. You see, we've got a special deal for our listeners. Try Blue Chew for free when you use our promo code POA at checkout. Just pay $5 shipping. That's BlueChew.com, promo code POA to receive your first month free. Visit BlueChew.com for more details and important safety information. And we thank Blue Chew for sponsoring this podcast. And, Trae,
get you a new dick.
Get you a new dick. How about that?
Right, and we're back, y'all. Cho, I got some fun facts for you, some stuff I think will hit for you.
I love fun facts.
I put this in the document, and I called it Medieval Home Base. You know, when you're a kid and you play, like, tag and stuff like that, and there's home base, right?
If you get there, nobody can tag you.
Right, it's against the rules. Did you know they had that for prisoners in the Middle Ages, which I did not. I never heard that. But
no.
In England in the Middle Ages, a fugitive could claim sanctuary by touching the knocker on the outer door of a church and was officially immune from arrest if they did that. If you were like on the run from the king's men or whatever, and you made it to a church and put your hand on a door knocker, you're safe, like home base, and they can't touch you. Now, this came with caveats. What typically then happened was that you had to go be a monk summers or whatever. Like, you weren't just like go away with murder. And just let you go, back to stealing cabbages. They'd send you off to the frontier or somewhere to make porridge in a monastery or something like that. So it's not like it super hit, but it was better than getting
your head lopped
off.
Yeah.
So
boy, that would not the drawn and quartered. That's not. Is that the one where they stretch you?
They tie you.
That's the drawn.
They tie each of your legs or each of your limbs. I mean, arms and legs, all four of them, each one to a different horse. Yeah. And then they slap every horse on the ass at the same time, and they just take off running and pull you to pieces. Don't hit. It's funny the range of punishments because, like, don't get me wrong, I'm sure this didn't hit either, but it's like the far more whimsical tarred and feathered.
Yeah,
was also
that's
an
kind
option.
But
But dude, how hot is that tar? Like, I bet that didn't.
No, but you know what? I don't know if me and you discussed this or if I just independently learned this. The big problem with that is that the tar closes your pores and your body can't get oxygen through the pores that it needs or something like that. And like that ends up being a problem. Like your pores, there's something. Am I making this up?
I don't know. Keep going. I'm looking it up right now, trying to figure out.
I feel like obviously you breathe most of your oxygen through your lungs and stuff like that, but you also need your pores to be able to sweat and breathe themselves. So if you're tarred and you're covered and your pores are covered, there can be some like internal damage done if you can't get it off in time?
I think it might just be that you like overheat, right?
You overheat, because you can't sweat. Yeah,
your body overheats because you can't release the heat or whatever.
And the tar's probably hot because, like, you can't have cold tar.
Well, it says that sometimes the tar was hot, but not always. So I guess they'd have
I feel like if tar was cold, it'd just tar. It wouldn't be able to,
I don't know. I think you could spread lukewarm tar. You don't think so?
Yeah, I believe you.
I used to say, I still do every now and then, if it's been a long day or whatever, some version of like, boys, I tell you what, cover me in feathers on the town square because I'm tarred.
I like that.
Because you tired. We say tired like tarred.
You're such a dad.
Sounds like something else. I know. Always have been. I said that when I was like 18.
I know you did. Well, you were a dad then. You had to raise Paige.
Yep. And all my dumbass friends. But, looks like it was both, public humiliation thing. I guess the intent wasn't like, it was better than the alternatives. But that's the other thing too, is I didn't know when it comes to this stuff is like being forced into monkery, right? Because
being a monk wouldn't hit.
No, it wouldn't hit. But back then, I didn't realize like they didn't have like prisons, like proper prisons.
Right.
Didn't exist until the 1800s, like the 19th century. It was
just a dungeon or nothing.
It was back then. It was chained up in a goddamn dungeon, or tortured, sometimes to death, or just killed. Like that's what happened to criminals.
Being killed was the best option of those.
Yeah, including being a monk, making it to the church on time. Like,
as long as my killing
get killed, then
is my killing swift.
Cucumbers and whales.
You can't. Okay, like here's
I'm
the
sure
thing.
A lot of them still. How about they each other? A lot of them. It's like you think they're all. It's also like
I've got the perfect hair to be a monk.
You do, yeah, because you could grow out the sides again.
Ring ball with the tuft. Oh, buddy,
ring ball with the tuft.
Look at that.
Yeah.
Ring ball with the tuft.
It's also like it's kind of like Night's Watchy.
Yeah,
you know what I mean.
Night's dude. See, that's the thing. I'm rewatching Game of Thrones because I've been depressed, and that's what you do. And like, John immediately takes the black, and I was like, and it hit so hard for him. And I'm just like, who are these people? Like, that's the least. I would much rather be the guy in the first episode that gets his head cut off than take the black.
Yeah, don't hit. Apparently,
I'm not a man.
Some people think that was based on the French Foreign Legion because that was a thing for years and years when they had colonies. If you were a criminal, you had you could either go, through the criminal process and end up in jail or killed or whatever, or you could immediately join the French Foreign Legion. They'd ship you off to one of their colonies.
We used to have that here.
Darkest Africa or whatever. I know there's always things in movies about like guys like running from the walls, so they go and join the army and end up in Vietnam. But isn't that more kind of like a loophole type thing? Yeah, meaning like it's not like if the cops catch you and arrest you, they're not like, okay, now what you can do is you can go to the Marines instead. Like they don't do that, right?
Yes, they used to. I'm saying there was at my old church, there was old dudes. I remember when I was a kid, and these were World War II guys. Like they're dead now. But I remember like part of their testimony was that they got in trouble, whether it was stealing or whatever, and they went to court and the judge literally was like, you can either go to jail or you can join the army. And they like all the ones that were saying this, at least they joined the army and then they became career army men. And that was it. Like that was really a thing.
Yeah. I don't know when they quit that, but they have since quit that. I can't tell.
And I don't think it was like an official thing. That was probably just like a small town judge was just like, you know what, man, why don't you just go do this? And also during World War II, it was like we needed people. So they were probably like, hey, you know who'd be good at this? This guy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. It says, so basically there's people on here saying it's like over the years, they've heard many accounts from old timers and stuff, people who said they were told by a judge,
yeah, you couldn't do it.
You can go to jail or you can go to the army. And according to this person, it says if that were ever challenged or whatever, that could never hold up as law. But it's just kind of like you said, small town judges.
Yeah. And by the way,
doing small town judge shit, but it was never.
Kind of good on that judge for that.
I
think like don't get me wrong, like being like the draft don't hit or whatever, but like I do think that was kind of a cool thing for the judge to be like, hey man, like you could go to jail, where going to jail is kind of like renting a house, whereas going to the Army is like buying one. At least it's still punishment because it won't hit, but you will get something out of this, and we can use you for it.
Right. But yeah, this home base thing with the church, it says that sometimes, like apparently Henry VII, they had all them quarrels, right? There was factions. Some fellers on fellers on the Yorkist side, which was against the Tudors, which Henry VII was. They sought sanctuary. They grabbed the sanctuary knocker, claimed home base in a nearby monastery, and Henry VII was like, I don't care, he got on hit and had them killed anyway. So, like, that also did happen.
You run the risk of that.
The actual rules were that you were safe as long as you were, again, once you do this, you now belong to the church. Like, if you try to leave the church in any way, they can grab you immediately and string you up, But as long as you stay in the church and doing what the church say, then you have sanctuary and you can't, be killed or whatever.
You just reminded me, put a pin in this. I want us to do an episode about the rules of war, because that's always been hilarious to me.
The rules of war.
The rules
Would
of
you
war.
like a lesson, sir? In the rules of war. What's that from, Cho?
Braveheart.
Nope, but it is a Mel Gibson movie.
Patriot.
Yes, the Patriot, Jason Isaacs. He says that to him and points a gun at his son.
And shoots. Yeah.
He don't shoot him right then. He points a gun and says, "Would you like a lesson, sir? In the rules of war."
As soon as you said that,
and then the kid tries to. He starts some shit later, and then he shoots the kid in the back.
The reason, you're correct. The reason I thought Mel Gibson is because as soon as you said it, Mel Gibson popped into my head. But man, that movie, goddamn it, I'm aware that it is some straight up propaganda, because it is, bro. And it came out right. It came out right before 9/11. But It's pre 9/11, but boy, it may as well not have been. But as far as just I'm gonna watch something that goes hard, and I get a red, white, and blue boner when I see it, even though it's bullshit. But
big old Ameri boner, baby. Yeah, I thought, and at the time I was just like,
this is American history.
Yeah, right.
Yeah, I did.
I had no trouble believing it at all. I was like, this is exactly how we whipped their ass.
Of course. Well, because we were in school learning the same things. They were like, yep, that is exactly what we did. And now
my history teacher / football coach, obviously, showed us the Patriot in class.
Why wouldn't you?
Like when we got to the part of the American Revolution. He's like, now we're going to watch a historical drama.
Yeah. Hey.
Starring true Patriot Mel Gibson, the greatest American to not be from here in a lot of people's eyes, I think.
You
think
true.
He's the hitnest? Yeah, I'm about to say.
He's the most American non-American ever.
Right.
Schwarzenegger.
It's Schwarzenegger. It's definitely
Schwarzenegger.
Right.
But Mel Gibson's
an American hero, and he can't even speak American hardly.
Right. I was about to say, he actually became the governor. You know what I mean?
Dude, I don't know how anybody doesn't with Arnold Schwarzenegger, man.
He rules. The nanny,
he fucked the nanny, and he's a Republican or whatever. But it's like, dude,
he cheated on a Kennedy. They had it coming.
Yeah, but also, you listen to him on Marin or any
I've
of these
never missed a podcast that he's done. I listen to all of them.
He's always awesome, dude. And he's like,
and by the way, he's sorry for what he did.
Yeah, but he's just a genuinely great man.
Dude, no one hits harder. That Bill Burr bit is so good about can you in 9 lifetimes could you do any of this? And it's no, you couldn't. And he did all of them.
Right.
Dude, did you know that he his dad was up when Arnold started working out, it didn't hit for his dad, and his dad just kept calling him gay and kicked him out of the and his dad kicked him out of the house or something because he wouldn't quit working out. And Arnold was like, "Yeah, you kept saying it was gay because only the bodybuilders they suck cock,
Yeah, yeah.
And he was just like, you know what? They were like, if you're going to keep, that's so funny. If you're going to keep working out, you can't live here. And he was just like, you know what? I don't need y'all. And it's not I think his dad was an officer or something like that. But he was just like, I don't need you. And he just was just like, I'm going to hit. I'm just going to hit. And he did. We should do an episode on him.
What he did. Then he did hit. It hits for me too. I know everybody knows this at this point, but it's that accent he has is like the equivalent of like our accent for where he's from. That's like the redneck accent of Austria, Germany. Whatever. Is there a name for them two together? Because obviously they're a like similar people.
Yeah,
I know he's from Austria, but they're like very Germany adjacent. I mean, Hitler was Austrian.
I was about to say, like,
most famous German of all time was an Austrian.
It's so funny you say that because, like, I both know that they're different, but have always considered them the same thing.
I think most Americans do because we dumb like that. But it's like,
it'd be like if somebody's like, Mexico and America, same thing.
It's like Russia and Belarus. It's like they're very, very adjacent countries, but they're technically, but like
all of Europe is kind of. There's a certain point.
There's like an internet saying that says something like the greatest con Austria ever pulled was convincing the world that Hitler was German and Mozart was Austrian or something like that. When the reverse is true.
Right.
I think it's Mozart, pretty sure. They claim him, but he really is from Germany or something. And then Hitler's the exact reverse. I don't know. I barely know what they're up to over there. But, I mean, I know about 100 years ago they weren't hitting, but.
No, he hits 80.
Yeah, no, he hits real hard. Let's see here. I'm trying to think. This will hit. I mean, I know it'll hit. It's just
I'm glad when you were preparing it, you were like, it could go either way. And now you're like,
I know that it will hit. It's more like, does it hit too hard to get into this late?
Yeah. I hear you. It's a time thing. Yeah,
but it will be short either way. So I think that it'll hit. We've talked before, maybe not on the show, but me and you just in private, and we've often talked about how hard the mail hits.
Mail does hit.
Yeah, right. Everybody, well, I was going to say everybody knows it, but actually the mail oddly came under fire for a while there.
Yeah. Still under fire a little bit.
American politicians. It's like,
now with ballots and stuff, like they're like, mail don't hit.
Like, dude, who thinks that the mail don't hit? It's like
idiots.
What do you have against the mail? Well, in the early part of the 1900s, I guess they used to just do letters and stuff. In the early part of the 1900s, they started the parcel service, right? Where you could mail packages and shit.
That's what the P stand for.
Bigger things, right? And this was revolutionary, obviously, in a lot of ways. It was a huge, resounding success. The citizens of America loved it. Huge
mail
program.
Hits. Mail hits.
They took to the streets, said mail hits. I had some unintended side effects, though, as you can imagine, this being the past and the past being the way the past is.
The worst.
Some enterprising people back then, what they started to do was they started to mail their babies via parcel post to like Mama's house or whatever.
Oh,
they take a baby to the post office, stick a stamp on his forehead or whatever, and then some dude
he's grown. Better put 2 stamps on there.
Yeah, throw the baby on the back of a train.
Yeah,
down to Cincinnati or whatever, where Grant lives.
I always try. Like, okay, when people always go, people are more sensitive nowadays. I always combat them with like, no. It's just that you see people's sensitivity more because of the internet, right? I'm like, people. Right. I always go, people as people have not ever changed. But then we talk about shit like this, and it's like, no one on earth right now would think I'll mail a baby. Although I do know a guy who he's buddies with one of my other buddies who he just got in trouble because he left his baby at home so he could go to the Applebee's bar. So maybe he would have mailed a baby.
Yeah. Well, it's one of those, it's like the further back, I have that bit about how parents in the 90s didn't give a like how we just be running around all day, no way of tracking us or getting in contact. We should be gone for hours at a time, completely left to our own devices, and how that would never happen nowadays. And if you go back 20, 30 years before that, it was even more so. And then it's like, dude, in the 50s, kids, they had like toy uranium lab kids that had actual radioactive materials in them.
Drinking mercury.
You could order monkeys through the mail and shit. Like stuff was insane. And then, and then you go back another 30 years into the 30, 40 years to the teens and 20s, and people were mailing babies in the post. And it's like, not that long before that, they was working them in coal mines and stuff and having 14 of them because they just accepted that 7 were going to die.
Yeah.
It was just different. You know what I mean?
It was different.
Kids, little fucking cold-faced street urchins in England, Dickensian orphan. England's just ate up with orphans, dude. And they,
So
they didn't,
many.
they didn't have shit. They was out there eating rats and stuff. Like,
Bane
past was
has
a nightmare, but it did not hit for kids. But I reckon the male, being that it hits, never lost a baby as I could find. Every baby safely delivered via the mail.
Spirit Airlines has lost a baby.
Yeah, but in that again, the parcel service started in 1913. Believe I got that right. And in 1920, the U.S. Post Office officially decreed that babies may not be mailed anymore.
The year my grandmother was born.
Really? 1920?
Yeah. Which, I mean, I know that she's been dead for a while, but my point is like, not like we always think of the past as so far away. You
Right.
know what I mean? Where it's like, not to get political, but George Wallace tweeted yesterday, he's like, I went to a segregated school and I'm alive right now. It's not that far in the back. So when I hear all these things, I'm like, my granny, who like, it feels like I was just talking to yesterday, was alive during this stuff. But yet in our brain, we're like, that was so far away. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it is weird. I mean, hell, dude, America has been here, what, 250 years?
Yeah.
Man,
I
we're
mean,
about to be 250 in 2 years.
and one of them, one of them dudes still got like a grandkid running around. You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
Time
wild.
be wild. Past don't hit. Present don't hit neither. Future
Past
won't hit.
don't hit. Every now and then past did hit. It's a varied thing. Sometimes I hear stuff and I'm like, past kind of hit.
Past hit?
Cocaine and Coca-Cola, that hit.
Well, yeah, that's true.
Being able to get lean at the grocery store, that hit.
You know, cocaine and Coca-Cola was like meant as the child's alternative to the already popular cocaine and wine that people were drinking. That's true.
God damn, we can't give these kids wine.
That'd be crazy. But they need their cocaine. We can't give them wine. That would be irresponsible. But obviously, they need their cocaine. So,
but hey, man,
we're going to put it in Coca-Cola.
Hold on. Hold on. By the way, back then, this was like the cocaine they were getting was not stepped on. This because this was medical grade cocaine, which I've had. Unbelievable. But we give them Adderall now. It's just meth. So, like, is it that crazy?
Yes, but I mean. Yeah, it still is.
But it's crazy that we give kids speed now.
Yeah, well, the whole thing with that is
it's regulated speed.
It's overprescribed for sure. But I reckon, as I understand it, kids who genuinely need that stuff, it ain't speed to them. That's how it's supposed to work.
No. I know. I'm not saying it's bad. I'm not going against that whole thing. I'm just
back then they'd give fussy babies heroin.
Like, I know that, but like, dude, cocaine is natural. You know what I mean? So, like, why can't a kid have cocaine?
I mean, coca leaves are natural. You ever seen them videos of them making cocaine in the jungle?
Yeah, they dry the coca leaves out. And
then gasoline.
Yeah, well, you got to have ethanol, dude.
You have
to have ethanol if you're going to make cocaine. Come on, Trae.
Yeah.
God damn it, I miss cocaine.
People used to mail babies.
Yeah, they sure did.
Speaking of mail.
Oh, hey.
You got some through the air?
I do. And by the way, thank you guys for continuing to send them in, even though we haven't read them for 2 weeks because we've been gone. I assume you and Travis did. Well, how could you? No, I would have had to send them to you.
Right, yeah.
Subject line. One of my favorite subject lines ever. Wait, well, you got a 3-minute out right now?
No.
Okay.
No. 8. I mean, well, let's say 6 or 7. I got to be off here in 6 or 7 minutes.
One of my favorite subject lines ever. Subject line. My friend, a globetrotter. Hey. Love y'all and the show. I was dying when you were talking about the Globetrotters last week. A few years ago, I was at a party and all the ladies were talking about that sexy stuff. One of my wife's friends said she was seeing a new guy and he was a basketball player, but not in the NBA. College? We asked. No, some team from Harlem, she replied. The Globetrotters? Everyone asked. Yeah, you guys know them? We then roasted her for an hour about how he spins her clit on his fingers and throws confetti when he comes. Or y'all remember Rock and Jock basketball on MTV in the 90s? That shit was crazy. It was awesome. That shit was crazy, and I'd pay $50 to watch you guys and DJ Lewis do commentary on it.
That would hit.
Hey, we can do that. We can.
Well, we can't make them bring back Rock and Jock.
No, but we can watch
basketball
some
or
old
whatever,
clips and do commentary on it. Hey, subject line, the great salmon debate. This is from our collective mammal, Natalie Nichols. Hey, boys, been loving the podcast. Y'all have been hitting especially hard lately because we're not together, I guess. Actually, she sent this a while back. I'm just now getting to it. I thought for a minute the who hits harder for black people debate was going to go to a Papaw Batman or feathered dinosaur situation. I grew up eating salmon patties. My mom called them salmon croquettes because we are fancy like that. Trae was right on the recipe. It's a large can of salmon, drained, and the bones and skin picked out, a whole bunch of cracker crumbs to stretch it, and an egg to bind it, salt and pepper, make patties, and fry them up. My mom would stretch one can to feed our family of 8. I was in college before I had salmon that didn't come out of a can. Glad y'all like the treats. I love you like you were my own, Natalie. I love her so much.
Mm-hmm. Very sweet.
Okay.
Thanks. Couldn't remember which debate she was talking about, but I remember now.
I don't remember. Could you explain it to me?
You said something was avant-garde, and I said, and that I hadn't thought of this dude in years, but I was like, there was a R&B singer named Avant that popped in my head, and I was like, do you know Avant? And you were like, no, and I was like, yeah, I didn't figure you did because he's very obscure. That's all I meant. But you've lost your mind. You're like, well, I don't know black. You think black people know? I don't hit for black people. That's what you think.
I don't.
And then it just like, yeah, and then it almost escalated from there. But that part hit for Thompson because that song hits for him, and he also had forgotten about it. So he texted
somebody
me
mentioned on Reddit that they, by the way, can I just put this out there? Whenever me and Trae argue on this show, we're not mad at each other. Like, we're performative people and we love each other like brothers. Because some people were like, I really thought y'all were about to quit the show over. I can't remember what it was. And I was like, dude,
probably that.
What was funny is like, it wasn't that, but I remember thinking like, I don't even remember the argument you're talking about.
I don't remember another one.
Like,
that's only
I was like,
recently.
Trust me. I was like, we get into this certain zone when we do the show, but like, we don't give a subject line. Oh, I haven't vetted this one, but I did start for some reason. Thanks, fellers. Not trying to be Captain Bring Down, but I feel like I need to let y'all know how much of a crutch the Skewniverse has been for me this week. My mom passed away from a heart attack over the weekend. So sorry, my friend. And when I needed distraction from the grief, I just put on an episode of POA or an old Bubba. And of course, the most recent editions of Weekly Skews and Well Read. Thanks, Trae, Corey, Drew, and Tushar for helping me out and making me laugh when all I want to do is cry. Thank you. Love you like chicken. Well, god dang. Well, thank you, my friend. And you know what? We'll end there. But I got to tell you, not to be sappy, that is why we do it. You know what I mean? It really, not that I want bad things to happen to people, obviously, but when they do and people say that we were of some type of comfort, that can actually drag me out of a bad situation because that's very cool. And we appreciate all of you who listen to this show, whether you're doing it to get over something bad or it just hits for you. We love doing this show. And I'm so glad to be back with you. Matter of fact, you know what, Trae? I was thinking, we're going to be together for a engagement party in like not long from now.
Yeah.
I had the thought earlier that like, I was so excited to see you, but it kind of don't hit for me because it's going to make our dick necking in Nashville mean less. You know what I mean? And speaking of which, we're going to be in Nashville together. We don't tour together anymore. But we're one day a year at the Well Read shows in Nashville at Zanies, December 12th through the 14th, I believe.
I think that's right. Yep.
Go to TraeCrowder.com to grab those tickets. Trae, plug anything else you want to, buddy.
Next weekend, I'll be in Maryland, Philly, and Jersey. And after that, I got a one-nighter in Phoenix this month. And then in December, the Bay Area, those shows with Joe and Drew, and back home in Nashville. And then closing out the year in Chicago, Illinois, right before Christmas. So go to TraeCrowder.com, come and see me, make a hit.
Yeah, please come. Like I said, we only do this one weekend a year. It always sells out, so go ahead and grab the tickets at TraeCrowder.com to come see us at Zanies in Nashville. As for me, I'm not touring right now, but if you want to support me and not just support me, but get cool stuff, go to WeLoveCorey.com. I do weekly bonus podcasts. I write essays. Me and my wife are currently doing Halloween movie reviews. It's a lot of fun. WeLoveCorey.com. It's a cup of coffee a month if you could sacrifice that. And other than that, Oh, and also, I just put out a new article for the Atlanta Journal-Constitution. You can read that by going to ajc.com. That's right. I'm prestigious. Other than that, stay fancy, motherfuckers.
Skew.
Skew. Skew. Here's Lydia Lovelace.
1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Royalty and rednecks are alike. They both like cutting and picking fights. Biscuits and baked beans where they don't belong. Sit on down with Corey and Trae and learn some fancy shit today. We'll laugh a little even when they're wrong. They'll take you to a magical place where if you call someone a cunt, nobody cares. They keep it debonair at putting on airs, putting on airs, putting on airs.